What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Tech Tuesday. How you doing, Joey?
Good. Howdy. Glad to
Good,
be here.
good. So, what caught my mind immediately as I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, this week, what we kind of look back on is we're like, okay, I saw all the commodities prices going down, and I was like, well, that doesn't really have anything to do with tech. We'll do it in the weekly recap. But what I did see is the App Store fight has been heating up again, and I think this happens like every 3 months or so. Everyone realizes that Apple's App Store is quite literally just a monopoly, and there's no way around it.
Yep, definitely. I mean, if you think about it, I would argue majority of the population owns an Apple device.
Yeah.
And since Apple has the ability to restrict all other marketplaces from their phone, like if you have an Apple device, you can't use an Android app store. Or I don't even think you can use Google's store. You can't use any of that, the Microsoft store.
You don't have
So
access
by
to it.
restricting it, I would definitely argue that it is a monopoly by not allowing people with an Apple iPhone to use different marketplaces.
When do you think we get so fed up with that we're kind of just done? I thought it would have happened by now. A few years ago, I said, all right, someone's going to basically find a way to undercut Apple and figure it out, and it's probably going to be a Chinese company, and they're just going to do it so much better and more efficient. But it hasn't happened. It doesn't look like it's going to soon.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know how you could overthrow Apple. They're so integrated into society nowadays with iMessage and
They're literally a
FaceTime.
culture.
Yeah, there's no way to compete. And honestly, I think the Galaxies look pretty neat. Their new folding Galaxy, like I would love to have one of those, but I just can't
Yeah,
let
would you
go of
ever buy a folding
iMessage.
phone?
Yeah, like I just can't give it up. iMessage or group messages, like it's all just.
Was it they say
I guess
the blue bubbles make brain go zoom?
Yep,
Just, I
exactly.
like the blue bubbles.
I need the blue bubbles, and but I guess it's one of those things that you don't know what life is like without it until you give it up. I mean, it may be infallible to think of, but if you made the jump or the switch, it might not be as big of a difference in your everyday life as you might think it is.
Do you track your
But
phone analytics?
I do pay attention to how long I'm on my phone and my
That's
screen
exactly
time.
because now they put it in front of you. They tell you that like you were up 60% last week and looked at your phone 6 hours a day, and you're like, oh, oh, that's bad.
Yeah, in my old job before I took my new job now, I was my screen time was pretty high. I was pretty bored at work, and oftentimes I would find myself like logging 6 hours of phone time a day, which was repulsive. So
Jeez.
I actually deleted Twitter because I caught myself, and it was just a natural urge. Anytime you were sitting there and I wasn't doing anything and I had nothing to do, it would just be a knee jerk reaction. Pull up Twitter, scroll, see what's going on.
Flip to
And
Instagram. Flip back. Flip back.
yep. And it was just a vicious cycle. So finally I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm deleting Twitter off my phone. I'll get my news from elsewhere. I don't need it. But I say that now, and then football season's going to roll around, and that's where I get all my Steeler news. So
Yeah,
it's probably going to end up back on my phone.
It's
But
so vicious because Twitter is literally just the one place the world comes together, and they're like, okay, we're all connected to this one horrible platform. It's like you can get anything you want off there. I guess Reddit is
yeah,
the same way, but Reddit's too deep of a dive for me. I just can't do it.
I've tried to get into the Reddit space before, but it's a deep rabbit hole to go down because you find different Reddits for different topics, and
It's like a
I don't know,
galaxy.
it's
Like
something I
there's
can't wrap my brain around.
I was working on a different
Yeah.
project earlier, and for reference, we pulled up it was just the Wall Street Bets got that page on Reddit got so much popularity recently. There's over 10 million people on that platform, that one single place. That's crazy. There are over 10 million people. So whenever one of these dudes puts something up, they pretty much guarantee, and I assume that most people are active. Probably not most. We'll call it like 50%. You're basically guaranteeing 5 million people are going to see what you say, and of that 5 million, if a million act on it, if 1/10 of the people that say it have some sort of action, that's quite a few people, and that's enough that you could actually accomplish some crazy things, and they have.
Yeah, I will say I never acted on it, but I was a part of the group when that GameStop hysteria was going on. I did venture over to the Wall Street Bets Reddit just to see what was happening.
Right.
It was such a crazy phenomenon
What's the
that
draw? There's so
I
many
haven't
people
seen
there.
before,
Yeah.
and it's still going on. I mean, AMC got short squeezed. I don't know, maybe a week or two ago, and I saw that price shoot up to $60. And AMC stock should not be worth anything.
Right. Shoot. I talked about this last week. I know it's platforms like that are really fun because all it takes is one piece of news to circulate and everyone's immediately informed within 24 hours. So where I'm going with that is that Have you heard of Hindenburg Research, Hindenburg Labs, or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, I have heard of
The short
Hindenburg.
seller firm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so whenever they do anything, pretty much, it's just like the death knell for whatever company they're targeting, and usually they uncover some pretty good stuff. They've they've forced, I think, probably half of the big electric car companies that are coming out, like specifically the ones that are all doing electric trucks. They basically forced them to take a good hard look at those sketchy practices they've got. The most recent one was Lordstown Motors. I talked about that a little bit, and they basically uncovered, they're like, all right, they were lying about how many people had pre-purchased their cars, and I couldn't figure out why they would do that. It's like that's kind of a stupid trap to walk into.
Yeah, why would you make that up? Because then, I mean, I don't know, maybe you try to create the hysteria surrounding it by saying, all these we have 1 million in pre-orders already. You better hop in quick. They're going fast. And then
probably
you
the
get
point.
someone like me who always needs the shiny new thing, and I'm like, whoa. I mean, if everyone's getting them, I might as well put a pre-order in.
Yeah, if I'm the 9 millionth guy, I'm way behind, right?
Yeah, I'm like, well, I might as well get my pre-order in, cancel later if I don't like it. And next thing you know, I'm $500 down on an electric truck that probably is never going to come out.
Yeah, so
I might not see for a while.
Atlas is the one that I talk about all the time. I am in love with the design. The only goofy thing is they don't have mirrors. And you're like, why don't you have mirrors? So they found out it reduces like 4% of drag, and you can go 30 extra miles or something like that. So they have like little cameras, and I was like, are we at the point where we're so lazy that we take that like 4% increase for the fact that now we just stare straight forward and like look down and say, oh, all right, camera, tell me everything. Boom. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a little worrisome, I feel like. I mean, I understand like if the camera's X amount trustworthy, but I mean, I'm still at the point where I'll check my mirror, but I always still give the little head turn.
Same.
I'm just that cautious. I mean, I know most people probably, stop checking their head themselves, but I always, got to be looking, checking my mirrors.
Well, have you been in a Tesla yet?
I have not driven in a Tesla yet. They're actually building a new Tesla showroom, probably like 2 miles from my house. So I'm excited for that.
You should go test drive one. But what you should pay attention to, this is interesting. So I promise this does follow up with our topic. When you're in the Tesla, and the Tesla has cameras everywhere, it basically surrounds it, and it has a 360-degree view, and it can make a view whenever you're pulling in of what's around you. It's the coolest thing. But if it thinks you're going too fast and something has slowed down in front of you, it like fire alarm beeps at you and it's basically like, I will stop this thing if you don't. And it's wrong pretty much all the time. Like I've been driving one and it'll beep and I'm like, you're just like, there's nothing accurate about this. I had tons of time and I was perfectly fine. And so I think the car will actually lock itself up or not let you turn if it thinks you are about to run into something. Do we trust technology that much?
That's putting a lot of faith in a computer chip to protect your life.
A computer chip that we can't seem to make enough of.
Exactly. I mean, geez, I would be hard pressed to find myself trusting that with my life.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a fascinating subject. It's a good way to get around, the argument of it's just a camera. If the car itself isn't going to let you turn, but like, what if the car's wrong? What if like a bird flies past and then your car locks up and you're like, what the?
That was my thought.
Next thing you know.
I don't think it's really been an issue for hardly anyone yet. And the statistics show that it's a good thing more than a bad thing. But the only thing I'm concerned about is it just makes us so lazy. We're so lazy.
Yeah, it does. It pushes us closer to the big spaceship in the movie WALL-E. Recliners, just not doing anything at all.
They just say milkshake and a milkshake pops up.
Yeah, that's all I think about, man, whenever I see these new advancements, whether it's, virtual reality with the Oculuses or the PS5s, or, I mean, even being able to order something and have it delivered to you same day now.
Yep.
Like I ordered I got an air purifier on Prime Day for my bedroom. Fun fact for everyone out there. It's fantastic.
Is it there by 7 p.m.?
Oh, it's incredible. It gets all the dust out of the way, but I don't know. I digress. I ordered it in the morning and it got there at 8 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. It was 12 hours. I got it at 8 a.m. and it got there by 8 p.m. It was incredible.
It's Amazon's able to do this ridiculous thing that they're doing. For the past, 15 years or 10 years, I guess, something like that, they've basically just been buying up and placing gigantic last mile warehouses in every major city. That's how they're able to do it. Last mile is like kind of the future. So I know we talk about that in my industry a lot, is last mile facilities didn't really matter until last year when we all discovered, oh wait, we don't actually have to go to the mall to do anything. We can do other things that we want to do and just have the thing delivered to us. So that's why malls are going away, and now we just fulfill things with last mile logistics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my previous job when I was working more in the construction industry, you saw fulfillment centers popping up all the time, and I think their most recent one near me was in the Ohio, Kentucky, like that Cincinnati area, right in the border. So I assume that's probably the facility this came from.
Probably
but
not
I know they're
cities.
popping up all over the place.
It's nuts. But I had one more I wanted to go into. This is a bit of a left turn back to what we were talking about before. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, all right, so therapy is a product. People don't seem to realize that it's quite literally like a marketed, sold product. And I was like, when are we going to have like therapy addiction treatment centers for social media?
Soon, I would hope.
Yeah.
you might need
That's exactly the
soon.
reaction I wanted.
The population's obsession with social media at this point has just gotten too out of control, I think.
It's nuts.
I remember when I first heard about Twitter when I was probably in 5th grade, and I thought people were weird that had Twitters because I was all about Facebook. I was like, what are these weirdos on Twitter for?
And then 2012 was when I joined, I think, 2011.
Yeah, I was probably around that time. I think probably 8th, 7th grade. I don't know, somewhere around there. But I remember being in 5th grade. What are they doing with this weird thing? And now, I mean, it has just become such a staple in our society. And it has become almost a weapon for different media sources, I feel like. And they weaponize it against groups of people, products, companies. And I just don't think that... I don't know. Having it unregulated is starting to become a threat, and it is just.
And if they have 5 million people see it, and 1 million people act on it, that's still a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's the same concept as the Reddit thing. It's just literally a tool to influence people to do other things. But yeah, I mean, it's mob mentality is not helped by our connectivity, I guess, is where we're going.
Yeah, and I would love to know the average time the typical human being spends a day looking at their phone, scrolling through Twitter and Instagram. I think those statistics would be fascinating. And you know who has those numbers is Apple.
They collect everything.
They know everything.
Yeah, they really do. That was the other thing I was thinking about. Was like, I wonder how much of their business model is purely based off of just like information gathering. Because that's the new thing. Is like once we've discovered that. And companies have proved this, the more you know about the people who are looking at your product, the more you can pretty much just predict what they're going to think next. And if you can predict what they're going to think, you can give them what they want, and then they just pay you for it.
It's terrifying. The targeted ads I see specifically on Instagram.
Yep.
All that data they have, and I know they're a Facebook company, but all that data they have collected. I mean, I could Google like... I don't know, air purifier. Yep. And then I'll go on my Instagram and I'll be scrolling ad for air purifier, ad for humidifier, this. And I'm like, I literally Googled it one time and I've never shopped around for it in my life. So it is so crazy.
They target you. So I'm upset at Instagram right now because I continuously get the two ads I get every single day are one. Here's the #1 treatment of hair loss for men. And I'm like, dude, I'm good. I've got thick Italian hair. The second one is, this shirt will hide your beer belly. And I'm like, I'm in good shape.
I get that too.
And then immediately after it'll be like a local brewery advertising to it. I'm like, you guys are something else.
I get that same exact beer belly ad.
It kills me.
It's like, men are loving this shirt. It hides their gut.
Yeah. Like, I go to the bathroom every time, pull my shirt up, and I'm like, I'm fine.
Yep. Yesterday, I was like, better start working out again. So I worked out yesterday for the first time in a year after seeing that ad for the 12th time that day.
So that's funny. Yeah, they've probably influenced everyone one of two ways. One, oh heck yeah, I can keep eating whatever I want. And the other half of us are like, get super paranoid and we're like, maybe I'm going to go for a run today.
Yeah, that's what I was sitting there. I'm sitting there watching that one of those stupid Netflix shows. I think it was that Too Hot to Handle season 2. And all these like ripped human beings are on my screen. And my Instagram's telling me I got a beer belly. And I'm like, maybe it's time to go hit the gym.
It's all influence. It'd be really fun. So maybe we should start an agency where we pair those companies up and take a little bit off the top. And what we'll do is we'll get like the cut shirts and like a running wear company, something like that, because 50% of the people are immediately gonna be like, yeah, I probably need some new running clothes. That's what I'm gonna do. Pair those guys together, like negotiate that merger. That would be a lot of fun. We could have a really good time
I
doing
would.
that. It would just,
Wow.
yeah, it would just be basically just forming partnerships between these companies that could work together because their products totally coincide, or they influence people to think one way or the other. What do you think?
I love it.
What are we
And
gonna,
then
what are we gonna
even, I
call
mean,
it?
is it legal to sell data? Like, so
Yes,
if we
Apple
got
does it
those two companies
constantly.
paired, and then we wanted to provide them with the proper marketing data. Could we then put them in touch with companies like Facebook, who has this data, or Apple, and convince them to sell it to them for a price?
So that's what I was talking about earlier. Is Apple sells their data, sells people's data actively. Like that's a big portion of their business model. I would love to see their balance sheet. I know it's public, so I'm probably gonna do that after we hop off here. I'm gonna go take a look because they have to record it, but I don't know what they call it. Like
Maybe like competitive intelligence, or
that's a good word.
something like that. Maybe
I like that.
consumer insight.
Consumer and yeah,
There's
damn,
so
you're really
many
good at
ways
these.
to put it.
That's funny.
But,
Yeah, I mean they make a buttload of money off it.
I would assume. I mean, big data is the future, and that's specifically why I'm getting my master's in analytics. It's the way to go. There's not enough people out there in the world who can take a look at all this data that's collected, and there's so much of it nowadays.
Tons. You
and
can measure anything.
digest it. So,
I totally agree with that.
yep, I had an analytics professor in undergrad, and he was actually, the class was supply chain logistics, and he said, if you want to make money one day, get into analytics because that's where it's going, and there are not nearly enough people in that space.
Yep.
So,
the Southern universities they all added a major that's specifically called supply chain like logistics, trying to figure out how to do things more efficiently. It's the way forward.
Yep. That's so after a year in sales, I was like, well, maybe I should listen to him and get into analytics.
Right.
So here I am.
There you are. I saw a quote on Twitter, ironically, I think it was yesterday, where he basically somebody said, look, if you can't learn coding, and if you physically can't learn coding, get yourself a YouTube channel, a podcast, or anything like that, because you're either valuable making things forward or you're entertaining. That's quite literally it. There's nowadays, so what I was about to say is we don't need people picking in the strawberry farms. We kind of do. We're having our big old labor shortage, but the technology can basically solve all of our food and water problems more easily than we can with manual labor. So now it's, how do we integrate systems? How do we make things more efficient? And if you can't do that, how do we entertain the people who are making things more efficient? That's basically it.
That's a fantastic way to look at it, and I couldn't agree more. I mean,
or if you can sell, you'll be fine forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone
That's a
needs
very tough
charismatic
skill to
sellers.
develop, though. It's a difficult racket.
Well, I've heard plenty of people say basically one way or the other. They say, look, you're either born with it or you're not. It's like, I guess that's kind of true, but I think you can teach anyone anything. What you can't teach is how much energy it will cost them to sell something. So, I mean, natural sellers basically they get energy from it. Like I see, I see people in my industry all the time. Literally, they just live for the game. But the game is it's exhausting for most of us. Like, oh my gosh, why would I try to convince people to do this? So instead, what you have to rewire is you have to basically say, okay, well, instead of trying to convince people to change their minds, your goal should be uncovering needs that already exist, and technology can help a lot with that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm one of those people that, I don't know, I'd like to think I'm pretty good at selling, but it is exhausting and taxing to do it every day. I'd much rather, after spending the last year to learn how to code and run analytics, I'd much rather sit down every day and write code and run these analytics and digest this data and then present it to people in a fashion that they can comprehend. Right. And I don't know. That's just personally my 2 cents on it. But then, like you said, you have those people who get energy from selling, and it's rewarding, and they can get up every day and make 100 phone calls, and it's just, that's just not me.
Yeah, so those two go hand in hand too, because guys like you process the information and they give it to the sellers, and what the sellers should be doing, and I'm pretty adamant about this, the sellers should not be going into every single person and saying, hey, do you want this? And they're like, no, it's not relevant. What they should be doing is spending that time in those analytics trying to find the people who are actively looking for the thing and just can't find it. But there's a bit of an art to that, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I mean, everyone's looking for something.
Right.
That's the way capitalism works.
It's true.
You just smile in the face of capitalism and hand them your hard-earned dollars.
We had a fun conversation the other day where basically like I said it's just totally irrelevant. I just thought it was funny. I wanted to share is I said I'm a major pro capitalist because everyone says, you know, like it's how we get where we are today is find needs, fulfill them with products and services, make people happy, make lives better. And he thought I said bro capitalist, and I was like, oh man, that is the next brand. There's literally like a wave of people doing that.
You should, bro capitalist.
Bro capitalist, like the finance dudes that walk around in the sweater vest and everything.
You could start a company about that, kind of like Friday Beers. I feel like bro capitalist.
As if I have
That's
time.
we gotta stop handing out these ideas here. Someone's gonna watch it. Next thing you know, we're gonna be scrolling through Instagram and see one of them pop up.
This is okay. Yeah, if we're providing, if people find this entertaining and there's more people watching and they know that there's good ideas here, they'll come right back.
That's a good point.
All right,
That's
I think we can probably wrap up for today. We've gone on about how we usually do.
Yep.
Unless you got anything
any
else.
updates on getting to Spotify?
That's what I'm doing in this next hour. So
All right.
I'm gonna sit down and get that, and then you know there's always more work to be done in other places and other things in the real world.
Absolutely.
So maybe next week. I'm sorry. I'll try to have it done today, and then we'll get that rolling. But we'll be able to do this in person next weekend, so that'll be fun.
Yes, we will.
It'll be awesome. Super special. All right, that wraps it up for this week. I'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Thanks.